Hello and welcome to another lesson on Practical Research 2. This time, we are going to be discussing the kinds of quantitative research. For our objectives, we are going to discuss the kinds of quantitative research. Number 2, we are going to identify the kinds of quantitative research to be used in a study. And number 3, we are going to cite the importance of research across the field. Now, why is this lesson important? This lesson is important because it will allow us to identify the differences between each kind of quantitative research that is involved in your subject, Practical Research 2. At the same time, it will aid you in giving yourself a vision of the planning process that you are going to take for your research writing in the future. Since you're going to be knowledgeable enough after the end of the lesson about the kinds of research, then it might open an opportunity for you to start planning on what kind of research are you going to take. At the same time, on the last part of the lesson, hopefully, you may have a greater appreciation of research in general and specifically quantitative research. Now let us proceed with another set of kinds of quantitative research. So this time, we are going to focus on non-experimental research design. These kinds of research are also associated with the term descriptive research. Dahil nga, ang ginagawa natin dito ay hindi na tayo nagbibigay ng mga treatments or manipulation on the groups that we are observing. Instead, what we are doing is just doing an observation and changing them from an observation into a numerical data. And those observations are coming from their natural environment, limiting the use of experimentation or treatment being placed under those groups. So the following are some of the kinds of quantitative research under descriptive research design. First, the most common and very much familiar to us na survey. So ang survey ay isang klase ng research design or research. It is also used as a research instrument wherein you're trying to observe or to ask questions on a certain group of people, and you are quantifying those observations or those response that your respondents are giving you. Next would be correlational. So pagsabayin na natin yung discussion ng correlational and ex post facto research design. So both of which are trying to get the association between two variables or between two groups. However, ang difference is yung correlational is trying to describe the degree of association between two groups. So in correlational studies, what we are doing is trying to find out the change that will happen on our dependent variable if a change happened in the independent variable. At the same time, we are assuming that any changes in our dependent variable is also associated with a change in the independent variable. However, ang clarification dito is that hindi ibig sabihin na nagkaroon ng change sa independent variable na may change din sa dependent variable does mean na ito ay epekto ng change ng bawat isa. Doon papasok yung ex post facto research design. Because ex post facto research design is a kind of research design that is intended to describe the causation that happens as two variables interact. So, ang difference is that yung correlation is trying to associate two groups na kapag may nagbago sa isang group, magbabago din yung isa. Pero hindi ibig sabihin nun na yung independent variable mo ang nagko-cause ng change dun sa dependent variable. However, pagdating sa ex post facto research design, yun naman yung target niya. To get a particular description on what change could happen on the dependent variable because of the change that happens in the independent variable. So kung ang target ng study mo ay tingnan lamang kung kapag nagbago yung isang variable mo ay magbabago din yung isa, then you are doing a correlational study. However, if you try to associate a cause and effect relationship between these two, that one is causing another variable to change, then you are doing an ex post facto research design. At the same time, it should also be clear na yung ex post facto research design, dahil nga siya ay cause-effect relationship, hindi pwedeng mabaliktad ang association. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na kapag nagkaroon ng change sa independent variable, ay dahil din yon ng change sa dependent variable. However, if your assumption is correct, then under ex post facto research design, the change that will happen on the dependent variable is an effect of what change happens in the independent variable. Now, comparative research design is another different kind of descriptive research wherein ang tinitingnan naman natin is yung comparison ng characteristics ng dalawang grupo or dalawang variable. It could mean na ang kino-compare natin ay two groups or more than two groups. So basically, in these kinds of research na under comparative research design, ang tinitingnan natin ay yung difference or similarity ng characteristics ng mga grupo na yon depending kung ano yung characteristic na gusto mong i-observe. For example, you're trying to compare the performance of grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, and grade 10 on a particular subject. Then, you are using a comparative research design comparing the characteristics of a numerical data, which is the grades of those students. Pwede rin namang mangyari na ang comparison mo ay performance of grade 7 students on English, Math, and Science subjects. So therefore, you are comparing numerical data, which is again is grade, then you are comparing between three subject groups, which again are English, Math, and Science. Now, let us proceed with evaluative research. So, itong evaluative research, hindi siya masyadong ginagamit na term in the context of Filipino research writing. Medyo bihirang magamit yung term na evaluative. Pero ang ibig sabihin lang nito is, you are trying to describe a certain situation based on a pre-existing phenomenon. So, kumbaga, nandyan na yung nangyayari, yung status quo, kung ano yung nangyayari sa kanila, and then you are going to describe, trying to get a conclusion out of that. So, ito yung parang merely assumptions because of the observed characteristics. Kunwari, you can have hypothesis like this in evaluative research, like mas mataas ang grades na nakukuha ng mga estudyante ngayon kumpara sa grades na nakukuha ng mga estudyante 10 years ago. Therefore, pwede kang magkaroon ng assumption na mas matalino yung estudyante ngayon over dun sa mga estudyante 10 years ago. So, ibig sabihin ng evaluative research is without understanding a deeper context between variables involved on a certain topic, you're trying to generalize based on your observations, based on the characteristics of your groups na ino-observe mo. There's nothing wrong with that. Yun nga lang, ang tingin ko sa evaluative research, kung ganito siya kababaw, medyo questionable yung nagiging findings. However, evaluative research is a kind of research that is making a foundation for other types of research. So dahil sa pagkakaroon ng parang lacking of details on the basis for evaluation of these kinds of research, nag-o-open siya ng opportunity para magkaroon ng mas malalim na research na pwedeng mag-involve yung other forms of research under descriptive, which are correlational, ex post facto, or comparative, or yung mga experimental research na discuss natin on the previous part of the lesson. Next, we have methodological research design or methodological research. So, this one is again another not so common research design because It is a combination of a lot of designs, I would say. Kaya mas sa tingin ko, mas hindi siya research design, mas i-consider ko siya kung ako yung magsusulat ng context for this is, mas i-consider ko siya bilang methodological research approach because when we say methodological research, it involves an application or integration of multiple methodologies. It could be methodology that is under a research design, for example, experimental research design, na dadagdagan mo ng comparative or dadagdagan mo ng iba pang methods, maybe methods na hindi masyadong common or methods which could be halimbawa involving modeling or mga methods na hindi nagfo-follow sa strict rules of research or of research writing. So any form of combinations of those na parang unique at hindi mo siya pwedeng i-categorize into one specific experimental or non-experimental research, then pwede mo siyang i-consider as methodological research. Pero bakit siya na ngayon nasa descriptive? Kasi nga, yung experimental research na research design is an strict category. So may mga certain criteria na dapat ma-meet para ma-categorize doon sa part na yon. So since magkakaroon ng leeway doon sa mga criteria na yon, so magpo-fall siya under non-experimental, kaya siya dito napunta sa category na ito. Pero again, methodological research is an approach rather than a design. So parang siya yung klase ng research na sarili mong diskarte yung ginagawa mo. Siyempre, may mga basis yon na pinanggalingan kung bakit ganun yung magiging style mo sa pag-conduct ng research. Pero again, dahil nga hindi siya nagpo-fall under a strict category of research, kinakategorize siya into methodological. Pero again, hindi siya masyadong common. Sa pagbabasa ko ng mga researches, bihira or parang wala pa ako natatandaan na ang nakasulat na research design na ginamit or kind of research na ginamit ay methodological. Now, let us proceed with the importance of quantitative research across field. So, this is somehow the part of the lesson na parang reflective ng inyong sariling perception on what could be the importance of quantitative research that are being done inside your own fields of interest. Pero ang summary na gusto kong makuha ninyo with this part of the lesson is that sana yung mga quantitative research na ginagawa natin is for better understanding of the world and for us to look for better solutions into existing problems that we have in the world. So, hindi tayo dapat magkaroon ng mga researches na para lang sa requirement. We should avoid conducting researches na ang aim ay para sa academic grades. Mas maganda kung ang mga research na nakakonduct natin ay talagang pinaniniwalaan natin na makakasolve ng certain problem or makaka-provide ng better explanation of the existing phenomenon that we are facing in the world. So, nakita naman natin yan sa mga seryosong researches pero hindi kailangan sa kanila lang. Hindi dapat mangyari na sa seryosong medical field lang ginagawa yung mga ganitong klaseng research. Hindi pwedeng sa yung mga pinakamatatas na experts ng mathematics yung nagkakandak ng research sa mga ganong phenomenon. But rather, dapat kahit dito sa level natin, nagsisimula na yung ganong motivation na we are doing research primarily because we try to solve problems of the world or we try to explain the phenomenon that are existing on our world today. Sana ganun yung mangyari. And having this kind of research will aid us in those kinds of path na kapag meron ka ng internal motivation na gusto mong makapagbigay ng tamang information, makapag-generate ng mga novelty ideas, pwede makatulong ng malaki yung knowledge mo of quantitative research. And again, quantitative research as a subject for senior high school is not here para maging bahagi lamang siya ng academic requirement. But rather, since this is an applied subject, the hope of the DepEd is the learnings that you're going to get from your applied research subject will be used in your future careers. Ano man yung tahakin ninyo na career, be it medical, engineering, criminology, teaching, and many other fields. You can be a farmer, you can be a fisherman, you can be on all sorts of field. Pero ang hope ng Department of Education in implementing or in including quantitative research as part of your curriculum is that yung lahat ng knowledge na natutunan nyo dito can be used pagdating doon sa problem solving and understanding ng mga phenomenon in the future. So sana kung ano man yung maging career ninyo, makatulong yung understanding ninyo ng research in general and ng quantitative research as we proceed with a lot of lesson for the whole semester.